So I wanted to, to make a post today that will probably upset some people, but I don't give a shit today. I'm in a, mood about this one. Stack Overflow's questions, the number of people asking it questions has plummeted. Almost nobody's asking anymore. You know how I feel about all this? And the fact that that Stack Overflow sold people's data to, to OpenAI and Claude and all the... Good. That's how I feel. You fucking losers have it all coming. They deserve it. Just the amount of elitism and pedantic bullshit that was on that site. It was full of, actually, it's news/Linux types. You would ask them a question about how to, integrate Facebook login into your website, and then they'd give you some pedantic bullshit, was covered on one of these YouTube videos about how, if the web worked that way, everybody's passwords would be stolen when, pretty much everybody could figure out that was just, somebody trying to figure out how to pass, OAuth to their own website so that it would go through OAuth and not feed the data to them. But, let's just operate with, massive assumptions and everything, You'd accuse me of operating with assumptions because he didn't specify OAuth in the question he asked, but, we are a species that is capable of some error correction. I mean, how do you know that I've made a grammar mistake? Unless you're capable of fixing the very grammar mistake that I made, It's crazy to me that people operate this way. I mean, it's absurd, and people do this all the fucking time. They're sitting there trying to pretend. Anyways, I don't think it would be assumptive, to avoid answering in the pedantic fashion. Somebody asked that question, just as a query for the type of question that they would, answer shittily on a video. I mean, do you want me to show you the very video that I pulled up and watched, just not long ago about the kind of attitude that you would get on ChatGPT? Not ChatGPT, but on Stack Overflow. I mean, this person comes in and this is the kind of culture that persisted on there. So, oh my god, what the fuck? Alex Siskine contributed this video, and it's emblematic of the
990. Oh man, 3 downvotes and another comment in 2 minutes. I explained that I'm new. Months. Okay, that part is brand new Stack Overflow account, and I tapped on the Ask a Question button. You have a title and description, and you have a couple of links that show you how to ask a good question. Come on, people, look how long this documentation is. It's like you need a PhD in order to ask a question on Stack Overflow. Links upon links upon links of documentation. So my goal here is to ask a very noob question because that's what noobs do. They ask questions that they're not familiar with, and they're maybe just starting out. For example, I have been writing React apps for many years, and I've been using Facebook Login for many years, but I've never used those two.
I just wanted to say, if you're writing React apps, you're part of the problem with the web, but let's go
together. So I posted this question: how to set up Facebook authentication in my React.js web app. Is that a noob enough question for you? I explained that I'm new to React.js and I've been learning it over the last few months. Okay, that part is not exactly true, but that's what a noob would say. I'm good at creating interfaces, but now I want to allow users to log into Facebook. Can somebody please help me?
Now watch this. Watch what happens. The whole thing is an exercise in the sort of pedantic elitism that was emblematic of Stack Overflow and the type of questions that the way that they answered questions.
Seconds after I asked this question, there's a downvote. 40 seconds. Is 40 seconds even enough time to...
And now everybody's, the type of reaction he's getting is as if he's asking a question about how to hack. and steal people's usernames and passwords, and they're thumbing him down for being a hacker,
Read the question and to think about it. Or people just follow a pattern and they say, oh, well, it's a how-to question, I'm going to downvote it instantly. And that's probably what happened here. 1 minute after I asked the question, I have 2 downvotes and I have a comment. The commenter says, he quoted me and says, if this would work like that, everybody will lose their Facebook passwords.
That is a very stupid response, and I can go into why.
I'm just pretending that I'm new to this. I know exactly what this commenter means because I've stated in my question that I have a username field and a password field, and that's not how OAuth works. OAuth presents the Facebook login screen instead of my own form.
Exactly, but this person replying could have specified that. They could have specified to use OAuth and rather than a lecture ultimately, with a completely unhelpful lecture about how that would enable hacking. I mean, I'm sorry, but your opinion that would be insecure is not needed here. It's entirely unwelcome. Nobody wanted that response. You've just wasted everybody's time by contributing it, and you are the problem. You're why Stack Overflow thoroughly deserved its data to be stolen and sold. And for these users to get no fucking compensation whatsoever. I mean, you're a plague.
But a new person is not going to know that. Do you remember the first time you were learning about OAuth?
This person would, he could have just specified and linked him to the OAuth, libraries and how to work, the documentation about how to work OAuth and everything, and to specify that you need to use that instead. But no, that's not the question. That's not how he's going to answer the question. He's gonna, just give him a pedantic lecture about it because you didn't ask the question the right way. You didn't ask about OAuth, I happen to think myself that it would have been much more helpful and productive at the end of the day, instead of giving them a pedantic lecture about things, to have specified, well, that doing things the way that you've suggested isn't necessarily secure. So I would suggest using using OAuth instead to use Facebook's actual, to pass Facebook's login forms to your website so that it passes to Facebook in a manner that is actually secure rather than what you're suggesting. And that would have been a helpful
is
reply.
Not helpful. It's going to discourage this person from following up and asking any more questions if it's a new person, which is, pretty understandable. Essentially, this commenter is making fun of the person for asking the question. It's another way of saying that question was dumb. Now, if we take a look at this commenter's profile, they've been around for a while. A number of gold badges, silver badges, and bronze badges, and a reputation of 15,990. Oh man, 3 downvotes and another comment. In 2 minutes. What is this other comment? Please see why is can someone help me? Not an actual question. I'm beginning to see a pattern emerging here, and it's not a fun one. Let's see. This person has even more gold badges and silver badges and bronze badges and been a member longer and has more reputation. Now, folks, I'm going to blur these out, of course, because I don't want to embarrass these people. Let's see. I'm going to click on that. Can someone help me? Not an actual question. Here's an actual article about this. All the Stack Overflow gurus come here to clap for each other. If you don't like, can someone help me, please? I'm going to change my question to, what are the necessary steps to get this done? Can I change the question? Would that help? Well, let's see. Well, it's the next day, and guess what? They closed my question. They just freaking closed it. Since this question was closed, I'm going to click Ask the Question. What? You can't post new questions right now? Are you kidding me? Why? It looks like you might need a break. Take a breather and come back soon?
Stack Overflow.
You asked one question recently which was not received well by the community. Everyone learns at their own pace. And it's okay to make mistakes.
The community fully had its stolen data with ChatGPT coming. It deserved it. Yo ho ho ho. It's a pirate's life for me. Fuck the community. Burn it to the ground.
It's been 2 days since your last question. We asked that you wait 1 day before asking again. Oh my gosh. Maybe I can just change this question and see if I can get it bootstrapped again. So I'm going to change the title to the new question that I have. Alright, how to secure a component in React.js. This time I want to really point out that I'm new to this, okay? I'm new to this, React, and Stack Overflow. So please don't bite my head off. Then I described that I've created 2 components, login and secure, and I've set up Facebook with this particular NPM package that lets me handle all the Facebook login stuff. And then I described the problem, which is that I can navigate directly to the secure page or the secure component in the URL, but I'm able to access the secure page. All right, how do I not allow the secure page to be visible, and how do I redirect to the login page? Well, I already have a couple ideas on how to solve that, but I want to see what people will say. Well, it looks like editing the question does not automatically open my question. My question will still remain closed, so I doubt people will see it. That's really annoying. Okay, I'm going to delete this question. It's still not letting me post a new question.
Ridiculous.
Oh, that's annoying. They have an automatic filter, basically, to ban questions or answers from an IP address or account with a history of extremely poor posts. They ban people. If a post was poorly received, that will continue to count against your account, even if the post is deleted. Whenever possible, try to fix posts instead of deleting them. I tried that.
That
it's
question
still
shouldn't have been poorly received.
Additionally,
in the first
deletion
place.
itself.
It was a bunch of pedantic bullshit on the developer's part. It would have been fucking dead simple to specify to use OAuth. The pedantic bullshit comments they made in the first place were thoroughly fucking unhelpful and unnecessary, and the absurdity of this whole situation is mind fucking blowing. I mean, this is why the site is dying to ChatGPT. And if you want to sit here and cry and say that they should have been compensated and everything for all your hard work, fuck you, fuck your opinion, and God bless ChatGPT for buying that data, and giving the low compensation to Stack Overflow that they did. And God bless Stack Overflow for not paying their goddamn users for the data that they harvested from
Counts
them.
Against questions.
All of you have it coming.
Finally, deleted answers will always count toward an automatic ban on new accounts. This is really unfriendly, I gotta say. I got a bunch of unfriendly responses, except one. One was helpful, but people just downvoted my question real quick, even without comment. Some didn't comment. I got 3 downvotes, only 2 negative comments. So what about that third one? Just hit the downvote. Boom. Thanks. Really helpful. One person came through, though, gave me a nice lead. But Stack Overflow itself is making it so hard to fix my ways, Like, oh, you better sit in that corner. Go sit in that corner for a while and think about what you did, you bad developer. Since I can't ask any more questions and I can't seem to get this one reopened, I'm just gonna comment, okay? This one person was nice, so I'm gonna say thank you. That was actually very helpful. I was able to get past my initial problem. However, I have another issue, and Stack Overflow won't let me ask another question because my first one was voted down. Anyway, just wanted to acknowledge this person who actually pointed me in the right direction. All right, I waited one more day. Let's see if Stack Overflow is forgiving today. The gods of Stack Overflow. What? It's been 3 days since you asked the question. 3 days. And it's still telling me I need a break. What? Oh. Okay, we asked that you wait 1 day before asking. Didn't they tell me yesterday that it's been 2 days and they asked 1 more day? Maybe it was because I was messing around with the question that they banned me for 1 more day. I think today is the day. Today is the day that they might allow me to ask 1 more question on Stack Overflow. I swear, I'm gonna feel like I won the f***ing lottery if they do. Let's try this. Now, I didn't mess around with the question. I left it alone, so hopefully they'll allow me to ask the new question. I can ask a good question now because I know what a good question is, right? So I'm just gonna copy and paste the previous question because I've already changed it. So I want the new question to be like the changed question, basically. Okay, here we go. My new question is up. And I'm gonna delete my previous question because, well, I don't want there to be 2 of them. Wow, somebody already answered. I've just asked this a few minutes ago, like 13 minutes ago. And this guy here provided an answer. Nice. Looks like this person actually read my question, went to the documentation of that plugin that I'm using, the NPM package, and found out what I needed. Let's have a look at this guy. Okay, a high reputation, been a member for longer, definitely more badges than the other people. So let's go to the docs and read them a little bit closer. My bad for not reading the docs. I'm a noob, okay? So there we go. Facebook client. I'm gonna grab that, get the login status, and yeah, I get redirected back to the login page. Nice. I did run into another issue where I didn't want the initial render to even show the secure page, so I put that in the comment after this person's answer. And then he went through and updated the answer with some more detail regarding the first issue. See, there are good people on Stack Overflow. I was curious to see if anybody else asking similar questions
Yes, after a while of working with it, you may eventually get past the threshold of bullshit, but, that's a lot of hostility to have to go through. And plus, my own thoughts about this was that the lecturing, meandering, pedantic bullshit of the original crowd of people who answered that question was thoroughly unnecessary in the first place. To me, if you're gonna, if you criticize my grammar, to me that indicates that you're capable of understanding what I'm saying, based on the fact that you're able to correct my bad grammar, right? Well, if I see a post and I realize that if they do things literally exactly the way that they describe in the post, that it's going to be a problem, I'm not going to sit there and say if everybody did that, everybody's passwords would be insecure, and to engage in this sort of pedantic bullshit in order to flex about how my nuts about how right and righteous I am about things. Instead, I'm going to say, well, there's this whole infrastructure or a concept that, I don't know what to refer to OAuth as. It's the industry standard. There's this whole protocol that's emerged to allow apps to to allowing apps to access user data from other services, like Google, Facebook, without sharing passwords with each other and everything. So that's what I would suggest. I would tell people, there's this whole protocol that's emerged in the form of OAuth 2.0. You might want to investigate the documentation for OAuth and how to actually do that in JavaScript or NPM, and how that how those interactions take place and everything. And I would link them to it. Very simple way to answer the question, but that wasn't the culture that had been normalized on Stack Overflow. It was like I said, it was it's new/Linux guys, who had taken over the site, and so they would look at your post, and if they did even consider it, they would consider it in the most painfully literal fashion possible, and then in such a way where they would because they were thinking in that literal mode, they wouldn't be able to sort of think about the question critically in order to think, to themselves, well, if I answer it that way, I'm probably not being very helpful to the person, but I could suggest this alternative way of constructing things, and this alternative would be much more secure than the way that they're trying to do it, and that suggestion would have the net impact of not only helping that person, but helping the whole broad community figure out how to do things like this. And if anybody else encountered this problem, now they've been helped by this, because they can look through the archives and find this. But unfortunately, no, that isn't the attitude that was prevalent on Stack Overflow at the time, and so I'm kind of sitting here and I laugh about all of it. I think it's pretty great that their data got scraped and harvested by OpenAI and Claude and everything, and that they didn't get compensated for it, Yo ho ho ho, it's a pirate's life for me.